Hello, hockey fans from around the world. I am Snarky Canadian number two, also known as the PHN intern, Nicholas Principe. I know a lot of you listeners are confused because this is usually the voice of the producer of the podcast, Richard Cote. Richard, unfortunately, won't be available for this podcast, but I don't think we need him. I'm just kidding. We love Richard. It's the second line edition of the podcast today, and you know what that means. Honestly, I've been here for like 3 weeks and I still don't know what that means. But what I do know is that we are joined by the publisher and owner of the ProHockeyNews.com, Lou Lafredo. Lou, how is everything in the wonderful state of New Mexico?
Oh, everything's just peachy down here, and yeah, we really don't need Richard. Don't. It's okay.
We still love him. We still love him.
Oh yeah. Listen, known him for too long. Yeah, back to you.
So, also joining us today, as he does every second line edition, is my fellow snarky Canadian, Jacob Doherty. Jacob, how is everything in Oil City?
Injured,
Yeah, it's oh.
very injured.
So, Jacob, since I joined the podcast, there isn't a majority American bias anymore on both lines because the second line now is equal Canadian American dominant. However, with Richard in absence today, we've had to make some call ups, some roster movements, you could say. Our beloved podcast producer has been sent to the minor leagues, and we've had to fill his place with a new intern here at ProHockeyNews.com, Luca Tersini. Luca, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Can't wait to get to talking hockey.
Well, before we get into anything deeper, listeners, this episode of the Pro Hockey News podcast is brought to you by My Custom Sports Chair. Head over to mycustomsportschair.com and use the code PHN15 to get yourself a nice 15% discount off your order. Why not throw in the nicest sports chair on the market into your fan cave today? This is usually the part where Richard goes on a little rant about something, but you know what? I think I had something written out, but I think I'll save your ears for today. So you know what I do hear though? I hear those pipes, those drums. You know what that means? Lou, take us away with bangers and mash.
Aye, laddies. Thanks to all these, I'm sort of overwhelmed at this point. All of these Canadians. This is the best thing that's happened to the podcast since in 8 years. So really happy to have you guys. So there were two games today in the EIHL. Cardiff Devils beat the league leader Belfast Giants in overtime, 4-3, and the Sheffield Steelers had a close one with the Glasgow Clan. It was only 10-2 in favor of Sheffield. A Clan just could not put it together on home ice. It really hasn't had much of an impact right now on the overall standings. Belfast Giants are still in first place with a game in hand and a 1-point lead over Sheffield. Sheffield did displace Nottingham Panthers out of the second position, drop them down to third, and Cardiff Devils put a little bit more pressure on the top three by winning today. So those four teams have already clinched for the playoffs. The fifth team to have clinched so far are the Coventry Blaze. They're coming in at the fifth spot. Guildford Flames, Glasgow Clan, and are almost certainly in. They'd have to have a total collapse over the last few games of the season in order to miss the playoffs. And then rounding out the top eight are the Dundee Stars, and they have a less than tenuous, well, a more than tenuous lead of 6 points over the Manchester Storm for the final playoff spot. The Manchester Storm and Fife Flyers round out below the line in the 10 team league. It's been a really interesting last 2 weeks. Nottingham Panthers have really put on a push. They were down around fifth and sixth heading into these last 2 weeks and made that push there. And as I said, they were in second place until this afternoon when Sheffield displaced them. But Nottingham Panthers are just playing lights out right now. And the first round of the playoffs ought to be really interesting. See how these top four teams can play to move on to the second round. So, Nicholas, that's it for Bangers and Mash. I'm going to hand it off back to you.
Lou, thank you for that update.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, let's bring it back here to North America and take a look at the standings. Well, actually, not the standings because the standings are pretty much set in stone. Let's just quickly talk about the teams that are guaranteed or already going to make the playoffs. So we have the Florida Everblades, who are currently on top of the league, 63 games played, 92 points. Second is the South Carolina Sting with 91 points. Third in the league is the Trois-Rivières Lions with 86 points. Fourth is Toledo Walleye with 86 points as well. And the Jacksonville Icemen with 84 points have also clinched a playoff spot. Now, Lou, we talked about them 2 weeks ago, but the
Right?
South Carolina Stingrays are 9-1 0-0 in their last 10
Yeah.
games and are riding an 8-game regulation win streak. Now, they're just 1 point behind the Everblades with 1 game in hand. And with 10 and 9 games respectfully between the two of them remaining, do we see the Everblades, who have been on top of the league for a lot of this season, fall to second?
Oh, fall to second. There's a distinct possibility considering how well the Stingrays are playing right now. That 9-1 and 0 is just they're just dominating the competition right now. Um, if Florida, if the Everblades have a slip up over the next week or so, I would look at the Stingrays overtaking them right now.
I mean, to be fair, Trois also has a good shot, 4 games in hand on the Everblades, and only 6 points back in a tight, tight race to the top.
From a conference point of view, absolutely. The Lions, I think, have already locked up their position, right, in the division. But from a conference standpoint, um, those 8 points, boy, I don't know. I could see them overtaking the Stingrays or at least taking over second place. I wouldn't count them out, but I'm not really overly confident about them making a charge towards the top of the conference.
That's understandable.
Yeah,
Well, now moving over to the AHL, starting in the Atlantic Division, we have in first the playoff clinchers, the Hershey Bears, with 82 points, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins with 74 points, the Providence Bruins with 73 points, and the Charlotte Checkers with 72 points. In the North Division, the Laval Rockets with 83 points, Rochester Americans with 76 points, third, the Toronto Marlies with 71 points, and in fourth, with 66 points, the Syracuse Crunch. In the Central Division, the Texas Stars with 73 points. Second, Milwaukee Admirals with 72 points. In third, the Grand Rapids Griffins with 70 points. And in fourth, the Chicago Wolves with 73 points. Or 63 points, excuse me. And in the Pacific Division, the Colorado Eagles with 78 points. The Ontario Reign with 74 points. The Coachella Valley Firebirds with 71 points. And the Abbotsford Canucks with 69 points, also tied with the Calgary Wranglers with 69 points. Now, Lou, the Hershey Bears are the first team to officially clinch a playoff spot, much like their NHL affiliate, the Washington Capitals.
right.
And they've been great as of late as well, 8-1, 0-1 in their last 10. What can they do to keep this up?
They have lucked out a little bit by the grace of the schedule. They are right that 10 game stretch is a little bit deceiving because they have been picking on some of the lower teams in that Atlantic division, and so yeah, it's kind of easy to make hay with the bottom dwellers. But they have been a couple of shutouts over that stretch of 10 games. They're really kind of pulling it together. So keep the goaltending and keep the Washington Capitals out of their roster moves.
Oh,
No call-ups, please.
yeah, that won't help them at all. But
Yeah,
you know what? Sorry,
we
continue.
root for the Hershey Bears. One of our best photographers is posted there, Steve Rusin. Um, in fact, we used one of his shots from the Phantoms game here just recently. Phantoms and Milwaukee Admirals. He made the trip down to Lehigh Valley and put on put on a great show of images, and we stole one of them, put it on the banner of our Blue Sky account. So if anybody wants to see how well Steve shoots, take a look at our site.
Shout out to Steve.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Another team that's been hot of late is Laval, who are 8-2-0 in their last 10. Lou, do we see Laval finishing top of the league? And which team do you think looks scariest heading into the final weeks?
Oh, I think Laval can make that push for the top spot in the league. They had a rough patch, probably the end of January into early February, but they managed to pull themselves out of that. And they, where Hershey has been feeding off of the lower rung of the league as well as their division and conference, Laval has really been taking the better teams apart in this stretch that they're going through right now. So They are really well positioned to make that final push into the playoffs and the postseason. And can they capture the league title? Um, I I think you'd lose money if you bet on them. So
Not
it's
worth
a
it.
you'd make you'd make 10 cents on a buck.
Well, we'll see where that
Yeah,
ends up in the
yeah,
next couple of weeks. That is everything for the minor leagues. Now it
yeah.
is time to bring in Jacob for what he does best.
Yes, women's hockey. I do that very well. Sponsored by LDE Affinity Jewelers. And wow, Boston is catching up to Montreal very quickly. Montreal is starting to slow down a little bit, and Boston just taking advantage. There's only 6 games left in the PWHL, in the second season of the PWHL, and expansion has already been or is already being discussed before the season even ends, and that's really good for the league. However, there's no idea. There's no really concrete idea of where they're going to expand. Are they going to continue to try expanding Canada, or because they've had so much success there? Are they going to try and go further down to the states? There are cities like Detroit, Chicago that you could easily go to. That would be great ideas, but that's a discussion for the off season. But really now it's just a 3 horse race. Minnesota's starting to fall. The Minnesota roster is starting to fall off, and it's just the Montreal Victory, Boston Fleet, and Toronto Scepters who are all vying for that top spot. Montreal has a 5 point advantage, but that's with 6 games left, and that's going to be very. It should be easy to hold, assuming they don't collapse. Montreal has not been able to score much. Hell, over the last month, they haven't scored more than 3 goals in a game. And that's really concerning, especially when teams are starting to find their scoring touch, especially the Boston Fleet and Toronto Scepters. Hillary Knight has been huge for Boston as of late. In her last 4 games, she's had 9 points with, I think it was 5 goals and 4 assists. Really playing well. Obviously, one of the best American players, or probably the best American women's hockey player. So that's if she continues that rise in that pace, she's going to be very dangerous coming into the playoffs. So that's it for the PWHL corner. Back to you, Nick.
A very big game this weekend between the Montreal Victory and the Toronto Scepters, actually.
Yes, yes, that's going to be very big on Sunday, and it's being played, I believe, at the Bell Center. So that's going to be
That's
very interesting.
that's going to be a very, very packed attendance. I
Yes.
believe, I hope so. I think now time we move into some NHL news. One thing that I wanted to talk about before we get into maybe some of the trade deadline stuff and some of the best acquisitions. Gabriel Landeskog has been reportedly practicing and skating with the team. Now, he's been out since 2022, I believe. So that's a long stretch to now be coming back this late in the season. Lou, what do we think of this?
Jacob will tell you as a person of caution, um, I have I have advocated that he retire in the past, and I don't know how well he's skating. I don't know. None of us really know how far along his rehabilitation has come. Certainly enough to get him in a kit and skates and send him out on the ice to skate. I don't know. I don't think any of us know whether he'll ever ice another game. Personally, I wish he would just retire and save his rehabilitated knee for the future. Um, you know that's my take.
Well, in the article that I saw, Jared Bednar, the coach, says he's looking good. I thought he looked great in practice today. Obviously, just like sort of flow and go non-contact stuff.
Right,
Certainly nice to have him out there. So maybe we'll see him back. Maybe we won't. I kind of agree with you in the sense I think it's time to hang up the skates. Uh, but who knows, right? Maybe we see
right,
him make a push with the Avs.
right. But so I liken so it's a different part of the body. I so understand that first. It's his knee, and Philip Hedl, who was traded by the Rangers over to Vancouver, was hit against the boards in not such, it really wasn't a hard check against the boards. It wasn't a boarding shot or anything, but he went down in a heap. Same thing with him. I wish he had retired a year and a half ago. You know, a knee is one thing, but you can't live without your brain. Sorry. And he went down with another concussion, I think. I don't know what his status is right now, but my thought has always been think about the player first. Think about your assets um, first and make sure they're protected. So that's my take. Yeah.
I agree with that. Now, Jacob, you seem to have gathered up a lot of stuff about some of the assets acquired during the trade deadline.
Yes. So I basically broke down all the moves, the major moves, and kind of just wrote down how much did they score with each team and what their impact really has been in comparison to their trade value or what the other team got in return. So I guess to stay with Colorado, Logan Stankoven has been doing great in Carolina. Um, but although a smaller sample size, just watching, I saw him play the other day, and the fans love him. He's great. He's been doing great in Carolina, and while he's only gotten a goal and assist, he's going to develop into a better player as the years go on. He's still very young. I believe he's only like 25 or something. Or actually, no, he's much younger than that, I believe.
23, I believe, actually.
Yeah, 20. Is he 20? No, he's 22. He's 22,
Oh,
so he's even younger.
Young.
And he has 2 years left on his ELC, which is actually a big thing for a NHL caliber player. So that's going to give Carolina a lot of space going down, continuing with their playoff push. But Mikko Rantanen has been playing pretty decently with Dallas. In 6 games, he has 2 goals, 2 assists. While with Carolina, he's only had in 13 games 2 goals and 6 assists in his entire time in Carolina. So he's already on pace to double his points, or not double, but pass the points that he got with Carolina fairly quickly. So I think Dallas is pretty happy with that move as well.
Yeah, I think that comes down to him wanting to play in Dallas. I mean, I think we all understood from what happened behind the scenes, if anybody looked into that, is he didn't want to be moved to Carolina. I don't think that was an option that he wanted. But yeah, now with Dallas, he's showing why he's the highest point scoring player through 3 different teams in a season.
Yeah. Well, with a few players who've done that.
Yeah.
But with your Toronto Maple Leafs,
Oh no.
Scott Laughton yet to score in 7 games, which, to be fair, you're not really expecting a lot of scoring from Scott Laughton. But still, you kind of would hope for him to, maybe pass it to someone who can score, right?
When you're giving up a first round pick, I think you want him to maybe step up in the lineup a little bit, not be the center for the 4th line, right? So yeah, it hasn't really worked out to what we were thinking it was. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really a huge fan of the move right away. Obviously, he's played a good chunk of games now, but so there's still time to grow, get used to the kind of the Berube system, but giving up a first round pick for a guy that's currently centering the 4th line, I don't know if you would have really liked that.
Yeah, but a 3-game winning streak is pretty good, though.
Oh, for
At
sure.
least you're still winning games.
Yeah, he hasn't, I don't think he's played bad, but for the amount that you're having to give up, like mostly that first round pick, you would probably want a guy that can make more of a difference, especially because for the Leafs, our biggest need in the playoffs has been scoring, right? So
But I think the comfortability will come. I mean,
for
being
sure.
in Philly for as long as he was, you get used to everything, the city, and now having to come here, as much as it's, maybe not too different to an extent, it is. It's a new home as much as he called
Yeah.
this home when he was born, right? So it's not even just adapting to the coach's system, it's adapting to now your whole environment.
And what do you think of Brandon, or is it Brandon Carlo?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Carlo. Only one assist so far, but obviously he's a defenseman and he's a very defensive defenseman. What do you think of his performance so far?
Luca, you
Yeah.
can go for it.
Okay, yeah, he's obviously you're not expecting him to provide offensively, but I was really happy when we got him, and I'm happy with his play now. I think he's been quality for us. I know, especially against the his debut against Colorado, he didn't have the strongest game, but again, first game, new system, you got to just get used to a new team environment, right? But I think he's the last, especially on our 3 game win streak right now, he's been solid. He's basically been like a 10 of 2.0. And again, he's also having to play with a player that hasn't really had one of the greatest seasons, probably is one of his worst seasons in the NHL in Morgan Riley, right? So I think that was definitely a big acquisition for the Leafs.
I think
Yeah,
Riley's looked better with him beside him having
Yeah.
that solidarity. It was like when what we saw with Luke Shen, maybe not to the extent of points, but the solidarity in knowing that you have that guy who's just going to be behind you if you lose the puck or a
Yeah.
misplaced pass or you fall over like the ref did the other night. Like,
Yeah, being reliable defensively like Shen was. Like we saw when we faced Tampa a couple of years ago in the playoffs when we did advance to obviously lose against Florida, but Riley had his best playoffs ever. Guy was amazing, right? And playing with a reliable defenseman that just sits there and is defensively reliable, right? So having just a big guy that plays defense could definitely help Morgan Riley and kind of maybe offensively bring more out of him, like what we've wanted this whole season, right? So definitely a good move.
yeah, and honestly, I have always I had a disdain for Carlo because of him being in Boston, but I'm happy. I thought he was good in. Honestly, I always kind of respected him. He's always great defensive defenseman and kind of made it a bit frustrating for me as a fan of the Canadians to see that. So
I think I agree with that too, as a Leafs fan, right? So
yeah, I think we can all agree.
yeah,
definitely have to go up against him a couple of times in the playoffs. So
The bane of
okay.
my life.
And another one of the biggest moves or biggest trades, in my opinion, in the trade deadline outside of the Rantanen trade was a Josh Norris to Buffalo trade, and he's already injured.
No,
He's played
how
three
did I miss
games.
that?
He got injured shortly after he was acquired. It's been undisclosed. He's day to day for the last week and a half. So we still don't know what's going on. But in his debut with Buffalo, he has 3 goals, 3 games, 1 goal, and 1 assist. But Dylan Cousins going the other way to Ottawa has been really good. In 7 games, 3 goals, 3 assists, probably one of the best immediate impact players from the trade deadline. And yeah, Dylan Cousins has been one of the best players in Ottawa since they acquired him.
I
Richard,
think it's
or
really helped Ottawa push to, first wild
yeah,
card position. It's really helped them out because last time we talked, I believe they were third or
Yeah,
fourth.
yeah.
yeah, I think they're the first wild card at the moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
So, and they have games in hand over Montreal. So, no, Ottawa's in a surprisingly good spot. They they have a young core to boot that is now less injury prone. And Josh Norris, I feel so bad for him. He just can't stay healthy, but he is at least getting paid.
He
He
is getting
he
paid. He is getting
yeah,
paid. That's a good thing.
he is earning 8 million until 2030. So good for him. And another big move that kind of surprised everyone, Brad Marchand still has yet to play with Florida. He's slated to make his debut fairly soon, I believe, before the season ends. I know that, but I don't know how healthy he is going to be going into the playoffs, and how effective he's going to be, because a lot of what Boston's returns relies on is Marchand playing in the playoffs. So hopefully he's not healthy, or sorry, We don't do that here.
He's not on Boston anymore. It's okay.
No, but he's on Florida, which is
He
Even
is on Florida.
worse.
Yeah, that's it's
arguably
probably
worse
even
right
worse.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh goodness.
But back to
I
my
know what
hometown.
we all know what you meant to say.
Well,
Yeah,
I
for
said
sure.
Lou, do we see the rat line when Marshawn returns? Lou, do we see the rat line of Bennett, Kachuk, Marshawn?
Oh, oh, sure. That
I know how interested you are.
um, that'll be just one nasty line, won't it? Kissing, punching, and hugging, I guess is the. Oh
Yes.
no, he didn't kiss. He licked.
Lick,
He licked
lick,
Yeah, a little
somebody.
bit
lick.
of
He
Yeah,
licking.
licked
licking,
some. Yeah,
licking,
yeah. It
licking.
wasn't kissing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he licked somebody. Yeah. Um, with Marchand on that line, it's hard to pick against Florida, isn't it?
As a
Definitely.
Leafs fan, it's
It's,
extremely
yeah.
unbearable to see this.
I know. Oh, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But what's interesting is that this will be the third season if they go all the way. If they get to the Cup final, it'll be the third season in a row that they've made it that far. I don't see any weariness in their legs. Do any of you? I mean, they look just as strong
No.
this time in this third season of this run as they did, I think, in the first in when they lost to the Knights,
There's always urgency in their game. And when
right?
I've been watching the last couple of Leafs games, the big thing I've been stressing is urgency. Nobody looks like they're fighting battles in the boards, fighting for pucks. It just looks like a little bit of slop out there. But every time you watch the Panthers,
Yeah,
hard hitting to the puck,
right,
board battles, net front battles, they don't allow any breathing room.
right.
And that's why they're Cup champions.
So is this a player driven thing, or is this coach is this a coach driven attitude?
I
I
think oh
continue, sorry.
okay. No, it's definitely you definitely have to give credit to Paul Maurice. He's
Yeah,
really having them playing right. I think like even if you go back to their first year when they beat Boston in seven, right? Like they were the underdog going into that season, obviously with Boston having their historical regular season, right? And
right,
they pull that out and they obviously beat us in the second round. They continue, get to the finals, right? Next year after that, they get stronger, right? They win the cup. This year, it's just the pieces they have with the coaching meshes so well that it's just you're gonna win. You're gonna win. It's a
yeah,
winning mentality over there, and they're doing it the right way.
Took the words out of my mouth.
yeah,
Couldn't have
Well,
said it
also
any better. Sorry.
also with Florida, Ekblad's not going to be able to play the first round.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
been suspended for that 20 games, and that's going to carry into the playoffs. I believe, assuming the playoffs, he may actually, if they get past the first, assuming they get past the first round, he might miss a game or two in the second. I'm not 100% sure. Um, but that is going to be very, their defense really was initially gonna taking a big hit from that until they acquired Seth Jones from from Chicago, which I think is a very risky move, especially given Jones's cap hit. But he has been playing a lot in Florida. In 8 games, he's averaging 25 minutes, almost 25 minutes,
Playing
which
a lot, yeah.
for a new player, that's a surprising choice.
Somebody has to make them up, though. Ekblad was, what, 23, 24 minutes a night, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah,
Somewhere up there, right? So you gotta, they got obviously a new player, but somebody had to take on those minutes. And I would prefer it to be a veteran like Seth Jones.
yeah. How's it plus minus?
-4 in Florida. However, it was much worse in Chicago
Well,
Yeah.
because of obvious reasons.
Chicago.
What a surprise.
Connor Bedard.
But
I
the
feel
other,
so bad for him. I feel so bad for him. I do.
Uh,
going
I,
the other way on that trade, Spencer Knight has been playing lights out for Chicago, really keeping them in as many games as he can. with the exception of one game. He has a 2.84 goals against and 909 save percentage in a year where this average save percentage is around 900. He's slightly above average on a team that has nothing.
Lou,
So
you
I,
slated him 2 weeks ago. What do you think of that?
Slighted him. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
yeah, you
Yeah, I
slated
guess
him
I
a couple
did.
weeks ago.
I did not think he would play this well. Uh, well, um, I did not know that he would have this, the trade would have this kind of outcome because I thought putting Spencer Knight on the Chicago Blackhawks was whistling in a storm. You weren't going to hear anything, you weren't going to see anything out of him. But as Jacob is pointing out, his numbers are good. Props to him. I didn't have anything against Knight. It was putting Knight on a bad team. I would have preferred seeing him go off someplace to a contender, somebody who could use that kind of talent to make that final push into the second wild card or something. It's another trade that I think a goaltender is wasted, unless they can sign him into something a long-term extension.
well, he's only 23, so
Yeah, there's a 20. Okay, so there's a 23-year-old really picking it up on a dead team.
and
Props to
he
him.
signed, yeah, and he signed until through next year for 4.5 million. So
So he's cheap too, young
yeah,
and cheap. No way to
I was,
go through life.
I was gonna say for Chicago, like especially this season, you want to see some bright spots. And I know, Lou, I agree with you with like kind of wasting a young goalie, but for Chicago, I think in a down season, obviously, where not much is going on, getting a young goalie in Knight who could potentially be obviously your future number one, kind of having that to kind of use as a backbone in not that great of a season could obviously help the future for that team. Having the goalie position locked down, again, still young, so anything could happen. He can turn out to be really good or he can be a bust, right? So he's been playing good now. We don't really know, but for Chicago, you want to see some bright spots, right? So
Yeah. Well, his history has been pretty decent in
yeah,
the NHL. I have no I wouldn't mind him on any one of my teams. Um, uh, I guess yes, I would agree to you don't want to waste the position. You also don't want to ruin it. You don't
yeah.
want to ruin the player. And Chicago is so bad. Having seen them live in person at the Winter Classic, they are so bad. I I'd hate to see that that stink kind of land on Knight. So yeah.
This also could have been what he needed, though, right? Obviously, being
Oh
the second up for Bobrovsky, you're
yeah,
never really going to see the net as much. So getting comfortable in between the pipes, for a young
sure.
goalie is exactly what you need.
Yeah, yeah.
and
Good
getting
point. Yeah,
consistent starts
Sorry, Jacob, what'd you say?
and getting consistent starts as
Yeah.
well.
sure.
It's a really big deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say because even like last year, Stolarz was the backup, right? So he wasn't really getting much time. So like what you said, I think getting consistent number of starts on either a bad or good team, I think as a goalie, it's something you want, right? You want to play.
Of course, of course. Jacob, you have anything else?
Uh, yeah. Well, Brock Nelson. I wish Richard was here, but Brock Nelson been playing pretty good for Colorado. 2 goals, 2 assists in 7 games.
Those two goals were
Um,
last night, if I'm not mistaken.
oh, were they?
I believe so.
He did get a double last night. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been playing quite well for Colorado. No complaints there. Charlie Coyle as well. I mean, he hasn't been playing much actually, which is quite surprising, given what they gave up for him. He's only averaging 13 minutes a game in 7 games. And it's not just like one game he played like 15, 20 minutes and he in another he played like two. No, it's been 13 minutes consistently.
Well, that's consistency from a bottom six player, right? I don't think he was brought there to be one of their top six guys.
Yeah, but they gave up Casey Middlestat, who I believe was their guy who they could absolutely slot in their top six, or it was in their top six. I'm not 100% sure. And I believe a second. So
Maybe
I
this all comes back to Landeskog joining the lineup again.
hopefully that would be good for them, but I think they would have to definitely ease Landeskog again. But Casey Middlestat been playing pretty well with Boston though. Goal and 2 assists in 6 games. He's definitely taking advantage of that opportunity with more ice time and playing with guys like Pasternak and, well, Pasternak. Just him. That's all. Who else is on Boston?
Brazo.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he's taking advantage of it, and I think that's good for him because he's been definitely overshadowed, both in I believe Winnipeg and Colorado and Buffalo. So
It's everywhere he's been.
yeah, so he gets a chance to shine, which is nice. Also, a player who's doing quite well with their new team, Yanni Gourde. It's 5 assists in 7 games, playing pretty solid, and definitely passing his pace with when he was with the Seattle Kraken. When in 36 games, he only scored 6 goals and 11 assists there. So now that he's back with Tampa, he's playing a lot better, especially under John Cooper. I think he was really good with. He's always been great with John Cooper, and both the Four Nations and this has kind of shown that.
I think Tampa became sneakily scary. I know we talked
Yeah.
about this. I talked about this last week with Adam and Lonnie and Richard, but Tampa became sneakily scary. And realistically, the only piece that's missing from their historic runs is Stamkos, right? They've got Gord back, they've got Kucherov, they've got McDonough. Like seeing McDonough in a Lightning jersey is it's scaring my mind again. But yeah.
Well, keep your head up.
Well, if you don't have anything else on the trade front, maybe to talk about, before we talk about trimming down some records, we can talk about trimming down there. Go to manscaped.com/pro hockey news to get yourself all Manscaped products at a 15% discount. Now, Luca, Alex Ovechkin is 7 goals back, sorry,
7
now,
scored yesterday. Yep.
of the great one, and the Caps are the first team to clinch the playoffs. How historic, like obviously not how historic is this going to be because what a record it would be
It's going to be
breaking.
pretty historic, right?
But I saw something on the Steve Dangle podcast that said, what if the record-breaking goal gets disallowed?
That would suck. That would suck. That would suck. You never want goals disallowed, but he'll probably end up breaking it anyways, even if there's a couple of disallowed goals, right? No, it's definitely an historic moment when he does break it. I think Backstrom is even traveling with the team now. So if he does break it on the road, he'll be there for it. Obviously, he was a big part of Ovechkin's career. I did want to bring something up though, because I was thinking about this today. For a amazingly healthy player, Ovechkin, I was looking at his stats today. Each year he's getting 70, 75 plus games. He's been healthy, right? But this record should already be broken. I know things are going to happen, but this guy's been through 2 shortened seasons because of COVID and the lockout, which I won't say the year because something else bad happened that obviously belongs to my team in 2012-13. We won't talk about that. But no, again, it's just going to be historic. But for a guy that's been pretty healthy, it's good to see him break it now. But those shortened seasons, like this should already be broken, right? But it's no matter when it's broken, if he does it this year or next year, which is looking like he's gonna do it. I hope he does it this year. It's gonna be an amazing moment.
I've got 2 questions for all of you, actually. What game do you think it will be broken, if you think it will be broken this year? And if it is broken this year, is this the last year we see Alex Ovechkin in the NHL? Let's go with Lou first.
Yeah, we did this, I think, just before you came on, Nicholas, and Jacob and I think, picked out into April, didn't we?
Yes, I believe so.
I think we had the same game.
So you had the one before me. I said he was going to do it at home, and I think,
Yeah.
or
In any event, I think we still have it out as probably the first week of April into that's next week, or the second week of April. And then does he retire? I think yes. I think he's just playing for this record right now. And a cup, obviously, with how well the Caps are playing. But I think he's done after this. I don't know what there is to play for.
Jacob, would you agree with that?
I think that he will stay no matter. He's signed until next year, so I think he's going to play another. He's going to play at least another year. But yeah, I think this is getting broken this season.
Luca?
Yeah, no, I'm on the fence. I think my fantasy would say that the last game of the season needs one more and gets it. But no, I'm hoping he doesn't wait that long and kind of does it before. But I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on if he retires or not. If he breaks it this season, he's got everything. He's got the silverware, right? He's got a cup, he's got all this stuff, right? So again, like what is there to play for? But at the same time, I don't see him not wanting to play. Like again, like Jacob said, he still has one more year in his contract. So I guess like why not just play it out? If he's healthy enough, obviously.
Yeah, I think he loves the game too much to not give it one more
Why
test
not, right?
just
Yep.
for fun.
Yeah,
Why
pad the
not?
record, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? Washington's top of the league this year. Who knows what they can do next year? And he could just be there for the ride.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too far-fetched.
Well,
But
how
this year,
old is he? I can never call that
39.
39.
yeah,
Yeah, he's
he's an uncle.
it's up there. He's up there.
He listens
I mean,
to Granddad Rock.
He looks like he's a bit older as well. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's all gray and everything.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
if the
wish I
body
was Greg.
if the body doesn't give out, why not keep playing, right? If he wants to.
Yeah.
9.5 million reasons to keep playing.
A very good
Oof.
point. I think before we move on to the picks of the week, one thing I do want to talk about is a notable Crosby season, but not for what you guys might think. So obviously we talked about this a couple weeks back with him being the QMJHL Rookie of the Year trophy being renamed to the Sidney Crosby Trophy. Now he has the most points for one franchise in the history of the league. And I believe if he gets 14 more points, he could break the record for most point per game seasons, which is held by Wayne Gretzky at 19.
Jeez. That's on a bad Pittsburgh team this year too, right?
Yeah.
He only needs a point per game for the rest of the season or just 6 points.
Oh, 6 points. Oh, this was a while ago then I saw that.
Yeah.
Still incredible from arguably, I don't think it's arguably, one of the greatest of all time for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Should we head into the picks of the week?
Yes, we shall. Okay.
All right.
So last week, I also appreciate Nicholas for filling this out for me,
No
as
problem.
I don't have to panic do it mid podcast for the 30th time because I never plan ahead. It was a disaster class for pretty much all of us except for Lou.
Yep.
Lou, you went 4-2
Oh,
somehow, some way.
sneaking up on the outside.
Yeah, and Richard 1-5. I went 2-4. Nicholas went 3-3. So hopefully, Luca here will give us some good luck, and hopefully we can continue to pass Richard. Catch up.
Okay.
But season totals, Nicholas, in terms of point percentage, is killing everybody. He's 8-4. I'm 33-23, one game ahead of Richard, who's 32-24, and Lou's 30-25 for those
Wow.
following along at home.
Wow. I got over
So
500.
yeah,
I
oh,
was
you've been
I was
500
in
for
it.
most of the season.
I thought I was in the tank. Yeah.
You were in the tank, and then you had
Yeah.
a good week this last week.
2 weeks ago, yeah, it was 5-1 and now 4-2. Boy, you'd think I know what the hell I was doing. All
And
right.
this slate of games this weekend is really good.
Yeah, it was a
And
struggle to pick which games to be on this.
hey, feel free to add more. Like, more the merrier. So first game, Vancouver at the New York Rangers.
Ugh.
Very big playoff implications here. Nicholas, I'm going to start off with you.
I think Vancouver edges it. Sorry, Lou.
Sorry.
And Luca, you got.
I'm gonna take the Rangers. I'm gonna take the Rangers on this one.
Okay. And Lou,
You know.
okay. And I'm also going to pick the Rangers. I just think Vancouver's started to spiral just a little bit, as they always kind of do at this time of the year. Next game, another big playoff implication game. The Calgary Flames at the New York Islanders. Luke, I'm going to start with you.
Ooh, I think this is gonna be a low scoring one. I'm gonna go with the Flames. I'm gonna go with the Canadian team. I'm gonna take the Flames.
Okay. Lou, who do you got?
The Flames scored 4 times in the third period last night to rally back and beat the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, they had a big
Yay!
comeback. They had a big comeback. Yeah,
Yeah, which is
the
just
big
great
comeback.
for
I
me.
forgot about that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stick with the Flames. Islanders are not nearly as good as that other team.
Okay. And Nicholas.
Well, the Islanders are 6-3-1 in their last 10. I'm gonna take the Islanders on this one.
Okay. And I want to agree with you. I think they're going to get goalied. In terms of goaltending, I think the Islanders with Sorokin have a better shot here.
I agree.
Yeah, that's why I
Now,
said low scoring. It's definitely gonna be a low scoring battle.
yeah, and now another game that's going to have seeding implications for more one of these teams more than the other. The Carolina Hurricanes versus the LA Kings. Nicholas, I'll start with you.
I think LA has more of a fight in them right now than Carolina will have because Carolina is basically guaranteed second. I think the Kings take this one.
Okay. And I believe they might clinch if the Devils and a few other teams down, the Devils and Islanders lose.
Yes.
I believe that's the case. Luca, who do you have?
I'm gonna take the Kings because I do agree with Nicholas. I think it's a closer battle for that second spot because I think they're only 2 points behind the Oilers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So I think they're gonna be a little bit more desperate.
Okay. And Lou.
Oh, the Kings are my mistress team, so I have to take them.
You heard it here first. Lou has a mistress, and it's a king.
Very good.
And I have the Canes because I really like Carolina. I think Carolina's a great team, and I think they'll win. Another game that's very, very big. The Florida Panthers versus the Washington Capitals, who've already clinched. So Lou, I'm going to start with you this time.
Where's the game?
Washington.
You know what? Give me the Panthers.
Okay. Luca.
I don't want to say the Panthers, but I think the Panthers.
Yeah, I think or Nicholas, sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat what Luca said, but yeah.
Don't want them to win, but I think they're going to win.
I have to make it unanimous. I think Florida has just a tiny bit more to play for at the moment, especially being tied in the standings with Toronto and with Tampa Bay 2 points behind with a game in hand. So that's going to be a very big game for Florida. They're going to bring their A game. Colorado at Montreal, Nicholas. Who do you
Give
got?
me the Canadians. I
Yes.
think they want this playoff push.
Come to the French side. Luca, will you join us?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna take Colorado. I'm gonna take Colorado.
Lou, will you join the French?
This is a
We give
tough
free
one.
citizenship.
Oh, then the Canadians, of course. Yeah, seriously, I'll take the Habs.
Okay. I also will agree. I think the Habs are actually no, I'm gonna go with the Avalanche.
Yeah,
Uh, but I think it's gonna be an overtime. I think Montreal will get a point out of like this game because um Montreal's playing great, but it could Colorado's a really good team and they're really stacked. And for our PWHL game, Toronto Scepters at Montreal. This will be huge
big
for
game.
playoff implications. I believe this is the last game between these two teams. This should be the last game between these two teams. Let me double check. Yes. Yes, this is. So last regular season matchup between Toronto and Montreal. Luca, who do you got?
Come on, give me Toronto.
Nicholas,
The
are you
bias
a
is only
Scepter?
for the no, the bias is only for the NHL. Give me the victory. They'd never let me down yet.
Hey, Lou.
No, they did.
Did they?
No.
Yes, the first week you were wrong. We both picked the victory, and the victory lost to
No.
yes.
I have the results right here, Lou. Results, Montreal. I picked Montreal. Results, Montreal. I picked Montreal.
Really?
Results. Yeah.
And maybe it was
Unless I'm
before you
missing
came
one.
on. No, unless it was before you came on. Oh, all right. Because it was the one game. It was the it was the one game I thought I had locked in. But in any event, Jacob, I'm going to take the victory.
Okay. And I will make it three for Montreal because I love Marie Philippe Poulin. And that's it for the PHN picks of the week. If you'd like to follow along, use the hashtag PHN picks on Blue Sky with our handle PHN podcast and PHN. Just the what is the PHN
Pro Hockey
Blue
News.
Sky? Pro Hockey News is it just Pro
Is
Hockey News
it
or
Pro Hockey News on Blue Sky and
yep.
PHN podcast on Blue Sky as well. No underscore this time.
Okay.
And um, you can follow everybody over on all of our video social media, and that's thanks to Alex. Where did that come from? Nicholas.
Yeah, I will show all of those at the end,
Okay,
but
good
I
deal.
think it's time for everyone's final thoughts. Luca, being your first time on the podcast, let's hear from you first.
Ooh, final thoughts. First I wanted to say I appreciate being on. It was really good talking hockey with you guys. Final thoughts. I don't really got any. I'm gonna be honest.
And I got yelled at by Richard last week. Not yelled at. No, I wouldn't. Richard would never do that. But yeah, that's okay, dude. I messed up on my first week too. It all gets to us. Jacob.
And you guys should have seen some of the stuff I did
I'll
and
bleep it
continue to do.
You got to catch that one. It's the first time you've lapsed in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, there's some fun ones. It's all fun and games, and it's great to see more Canadians on as we continue to take over the United States of America.
Amen.
Lou.
Um, as I said at the start, I think this is great. Having you three guys representing Pro Hockey News is just and the podcast. I'm thrilled to be perfectly honest with you. This is I can't express to you guys how appreciative I am, Jacob, of you sticking with us for so long, Nicholas, you finding us, and then obviously recommending Luca get in touch with us. And so this is all. I've been hoping for this for 25 years, and it's finally coming together. It's an overnight success. So, Nicholas, back to you.
Well, I wish my final thought was as wholesome as that was. Mine is actually on Logan Thompson. who's
Oh.
30, he's 34-5. He has less losses in like regulation than he does in overtime and shootout. And he has 35 points. Sorry, he has points in 35 of his 38 starts.
Pretty
This is
good.
just ridiculous. And I think what makes it even better is him being a right catching goalie, because the norm is always left catch. And when a players face a handful of right catching a handful of right catching goalies all season, shot selection becomes skewed. And you know what? He's taking full advantage of it. So shout out to Logan Thompson.
Yeah.
And fun fact, both of their goalies are full right, which is right-handed
Yep.
catching.
Charlie Lindgren. Yep.
Yep, he's also right-handed, so that's pretty cool.
Well,
Nice.
I think that is everything for today. Follow us on Blue Sky, TikTok @_PHN, PHN _ for TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Check us out at Spotify for Pro Hockey News Podcast. From Nicholas, from Luca, from Jacob, from Lou, we'll see you guys again next time.